I hope people like Jessica Alba's pussy.
Like, you guys are amazing. The world needs more people like you. People who are say why not. And if you could do me the honor of writing why not my poster.
Yeah, totally, man. Throw it up here. Meanwhile, we're gonna jump over here. Hey!
Hello!
How are you?
I'm wonderful. So, I wanted to say, Kev, thank you for Dogma as a fallen Catholic. Very much thank you.
Thanks for watching.
And Jason, as a woman, thank you for the refrigerator seat and Zach and Mary.
Oh, yes, thank you.
So weird, man. I remember like having to talk him into it and shit. He didn't want to do it. He was just like, no, dude, I'm married. I can't be showing my dick. And I was just like, dude, if you fucking pull it out, I'll forgive you a $30,000 debt. He owed me $30K. And he was like, all right, I'll whip it out right now.
I do have to say though, that was for the cock, and I don't need a pat on the back or anything, but that was for the cock scene that he's talking about. But the actual fridge scene was my idea. I walked over, and I was supposed to walk over and open the fridge, and then grab the orange juice and turn around. But on purpose, because I knew everyone was sitting behind me, I was like, oops, I dropped the cat. And he liked it, and he goes, oh my gosh, all right, before we do another take of that, let's put a light inside the fridge so it'll shine through. So you can see my show.
Dave Klein's our DP, right? I've been working with Dave my whole fucking life. And Dave Klein's like, that's the most interested I've ever seen you be in cinematography and lighting. So you knew you wanted to backlit those balls. You had the terminology for it. I was like, when it's important, I can rise to the occasion. Alright, where are we?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
An easy one. How exactly do you get Neil Gaiman to say, give me a
Seriously.
What a sweet guy, that guy. He came over with Amanda and they watched Red State. This is going back like fucking 2 years at this point. And so he was so delightful. He said such wonderful things about art and the movie in general and stuff. And so at that time I was like, you want to help us out with this other thing? And Jason hit him up and he was just like, yeah, totally, let's do it. And he came in and recorded with these guys. I wasn't there. And then they sent me the lines after it was done. Be like, see if any of these work. And as soon as you hear Neil Gaiman going in the preferred parlance then, pussy. I was fucking dying. I was like, I can leave this world a happy man. Hearing him say pussy is real turn on in that bridge recording. But we had like, when the designs for the butler called for him to be like an old guy, a scratch track before we got Neil so that Stark could start working on the cartoon on that particular scene. And so he was drawn as like a bald, older British gentleman. Once we got Neil to do the voice though, we were like, Steve, redo it, make him look like fucking Neil Gaiman. So now he kind of looks like him. The first time we put the poster out, Neil tweeted me, he's like, am I on the poster? So, oh yeah, bitch, it's pretty awesome, man. I'm a huge fan of Neil going way back, and I love Sandman. Like, he taught me to write, just reading his fucking work. So it's been cool knowing him, but it's been really fun having him do that fucking voice. And he can act like a motherfucker too, right? Like I bought him as a butler.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, over here.
Hi, you guys are awesome.
Thank you. What are you dressed for? Man?
I came back forward at the time just to see that.
Is it a Ren Fair?
Yeah, I work at the Red Fest. I'm a village gossip.
Are you a village gossip?
Yeah.
What's that? Sorry, what is a village?
What happens? Well,
let me tell you that from experience with Henry VIII is the clip master.
Yes, I believe that. I watched Tudors and he was just knocking the box out. And the next thing you'd be like, is it okay to feel them? Yes, you're tired. And he's like, hey. Oh yeah.
World history with Jason Mewes.
Do you remember that when he came in, the girl came in, the servant girl or whatever, and he like took her blouse off and then he like asked permission. He wanted her to say like she gave him permission, and then he's like, I know it. Like he didn't just grab it, even though he could be like, I'm the king and I'll grab what I want. You know, he was like, it's okay, right? She's like, of course. That was amazing.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Tudors.
like, I remember one time Henry was touching a titty, man. And he didn't just grab, he asked first. I was like, holy shit, he's back on the drugs.
No, I said I watched Tudors and I saw in Tudors, like watching it, I couldn't believe how much pussy he got. And it made me think like,
You know,
that
it's
was, that's
crazy.
always
Think
been
about it
what was
like
mad
this.
at my
In
dream
addition to
was
that, would be
man,
like,
if
well, I
could
guess
come up
that
with
really
bullshit.
means that Henry
Because
VIII
sometimes
put a
I'll
new
see a girl
terminology on losing
sitting
your
there,
head,
like,
you know?
You can see like her camel toast or a yoga pants and it's like, oh, I would love to just fucking reach down and suck on that. Suck on that pussy. If she would let me, if only. And then after I did that, then 3 hours later I'd be at the poolside and the pussy lip would be hanging out. I'd be like, oh, if only I could go up and just eat that pussy and be like, thanks. And then I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, the king could probably
Go back to talking about the Tudors.
Well, in Tudors, I almost feel like he was like that. He would pretty much just be like, oh, who's this new servant girl? And he'd be like, send her to my chambers. And then she'd come in, she'd be like, yes, do you want me to fucking peel the apple or whatever? They eat that grapefruit before they eat their pussy, right? Doesn't he eat grapefruit before he eats pussy? And juices
Turn to her for help. That's right.
Actually, he just described the audition process, so.
nice.
Is that what goes on at these friend fairs? Because I want to check it out now. What's your question?
So you're talking about how you can't care what other people think, that no everyone's gonna like it, but that takes a long time to get there, right?
Oh God, yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
still not there myself. I mean, I talk a good game, but I still care what other people think, and it's a real conscious effort to get over it, man. Like, you know, unfortunately, I'm a human being, and human beings are more attracted to the negative than the positive. So even when we think we want positive things, and we do at all times, we'll always sniff around the negative, and you always fall down the rabbit hole of like, let's see what somebody's saying. And what they're saying is usually fucking evil and terrible and bad. So even if you're like, hey, I've done some cool shit in life, I feel pretty good about myself, there's still someone who'll get you off your fucking program easily. An utter stranger just saying some vile shit to you. And you finding that little chink in your armor and just driving the fucking knife in and shit.
Yeah, so it's kind of depressing.
It is, yeah, it's depressing. And I guess what I'm trying to say is like, it never ends. I don't know anybody it fucking ends for. I've known people way more successful than me. People who've won Oscars. And there's no finish line. There's no like, you know, and then they lived happily ever after credits. Like, when you're done, you have to do it again. And even when you're done, you think you've done the greatest job in the world, there's always going to be, as you mentioned before, the two guys who hated Batman. There's always going to be somebody out there to fucking like just shit in your mouth and stuff. So you gotta know that that's going to happen. That's just part of the process and whatnot. You can try to put it through a different prism. Periodically, when you read it, you can generally discern the people who are like just being shitty practical jokers or people who seriously don't like their shit. You can kind of tell like, well, these are some cats who are irritated because we're doing something, they're doing nothing, and it pisses them off. And then there's definitely a percentage of people who are like, there's no psychology to it. They're just like, I fucking hate you, you fat piece of shit. Like, everything you do, I hate that fucking hockey jersey. I'm glad they threw you off that plane. Like, they get fucking tight about. And they'll come out of the woodwork periodically. It's always like if my shit goes too high over a certain point. Like, I always fly right under the radar, or well under the radar with everything we do. But whenever our stuff comes very close to the radar, or getting on the grid, that's when like people come out of the woodwork and be like, I thought he was fucking dead. I still hate him, and blah, blah, blah. So like the Injustice commercial that's been running lately. Like, you know, we're working all the time. We're on stage. We're out there doing things constantly. We got fucking comic book men on AMC and shit. And still, there's some people on Twitter who are like, I can't stand the fact that you and that fucking friend of yours are still alive. Like, we had been off their radar for years, and suddenly we pop up with this ad and having a good time and smiling and shit, and they're like, I loathe everything about it. So it exists, you can't avoid it, man. Like, and I don't know anybody that gets 100% fucking pass. And if it's not on the social media level, it's even higher up and shit. Like, so you would imagine the guy that made the Avengers, okay, Joss Whedon. He just put together that S.H.I.E.L.D. pilot, right? For a spin-off series from the Avengers, based on the adventures of Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. and whatnot. And they're still waiting for an okay. even though it's done and they submitted it, like, you would imagine they didn't even have to submit it. If Joss Whedon had just shown up and been like, I didn't shoot anything, it's just 45 minutes of my dick. That ABC would be like, can't wait, you know? Just put on the air. So there's always, like, you think, like, somebody who made, like, third highest grossing movie of all time, it just has it on Easy Street, but no, it never fucking ends. And I think that's part of the creative process. There should always be a bit of pushback, man. That way you try harder. Anytime people didn't push back or life didn't push back, the stuff I've done is weaker. Anytime fucking life pushed back, like anytime I didn't have any money to make a movie, that's the time most people love the fucking movie, because we couldn't answer a problem by pouring money all over it. We had to be more clever about it, or try to be ingenious or something like that, and that's where memorable shit comes from. So even though you do that and you feel kind of satisfied, there'll always be somebody being like, I see through it, it's bullshit. You just expect that. It kind of comes with the job. And what it teaches you is to fucking never be that for somebody else. Like, I don't sit there on Twitter and be like, I just watched a movie that I fucking hate. And I watch a lot of movies that I fucking hate. But I don't pull the trigger, I pull back, because I'm like, I would hate this if something. Well, I hate it when people do it to me. Like, out of nowhere, just fucking flash and cut and slash and shit. So before I sit there and pop my mouth off about some bullshit, I stop and think and go like, does the world really need to know what I think about this? Probably not. Let me go back to tweeting about my dick. So, you know, the only way to kind of
swing of
never end, there'll always be people who don't like you, and always be people who are just kind of shitty, particularly with the anonymity of the internet. But you just, the only way to fight it is to kind of give back kindness, man. When people like piss in your face, you feel like, ooh, I love it. That's fucking good, even if it's killing you inside, man, because that's you can't fight it any other way. You gotta kill them with kindness. That's always been my approach.
I take back what I said, that wasn't depressing.